There's something happening in the automotive world that has been bothering me for years. And only recently I figured out how to describe it. Basically, it seems like electric vehicles are ruining car hierarchy. Now, before the EV crowd starts furiously typing comments, that's not the same thing as saying EVs are bad. In fact, I think EVs are often excellent vehicles. They're quick, practical, quiet, efficient, and for a lot of people, they're probably a genuinely great transportation solution. Like if I owned a house with a garage and can charge every night, I'd probably consider an EV myself. So this is not an anti-EV video. My issue with EVs isn't about charging infrastructure or battery degradation or, environmental concerns or something like that. None of that stuff is what this video is about. That's not what I'm going to talk about. So instead, I'm going to talk about something that's cultural or psychological, maybe even a little philosophical. Because I think EVs have broken something that's existed in the automotive world for nearly a century, I'd say. Okay, let me explain. A while ago, I was watching reviews of the Xiaomi SU7 Ultra. If you're not familiar with Xiaomi, you may have heard of them, you might have heard of their smartphones, because they're a smartphone company, okay? But somehow they've managed to build a four-door sedan with approximately 1,500 horsepower. And this car roughly costs $75,000. Think about that for a second. 75 grand and you get 1,500 horsepower. Historically, those numbers belong in completely different universes, don't they? $75,000, 1,500 horsepower. A few years ago, if you wanted that kind of performance, you were shopping for a hypercar. You were looking at cars that cost hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. And you were entering the realm of true automotive royalty. But now a car company known for making cell phones can pretty much embarrass many of those other hypercars in a straight line. And that's when it hit me. It's not that EVs are fast. It's more like they made speed cheap. Okay, and by doing so, they disrupted the hierarchy that organized the automotive world for generations. So for decades, enthusiasts understood, the automotive ladder, so to speak. Okay, at the bottom there were economy cars, then you got like sporty economy, then performance or sports cars, whichever one you want to call it, and then after that you got your supercars and hypercars. Nobody needed a chart to understand this, but everybody understood that. Okay, Corolla sat in one place, then Civic Si was higher, and then above that you got like a Mustang GT, and then Corvette and Ferrari, etc. It wasn't a perfect ladder, but it made sense. Generally speaking, if you spend more money, you got more performance. It's not always. There are, of course, exceptions, but it pretty much, that rule applies. Sometimes there's like exclusivity that matters more than speed, but still, generally, that was the performance. More money resulted in more performance. That was the arrangement, and enthusiasts pretty much accepted that. And I think they actually enjoyed it. Part of the excitement of car culture was climbing this ladder, right? You start with a Civic, then you have a Civic Si, then you move up to the Mustang, and then further on. Every step felt meaningful because every step represented a genuine increase in performance and status. Right? You kind of earned your way upward. Or maybe you couldn't afford the next step in the ladder, so what did you do? Well, you built your own car, right? You turbocharged something, or you swapped engines. right? You spent years in your garage creating some ridiculous monster. And then people respected that too, because that required a lot of knowledge and skill and dedication, right? So either way, performance remained valuable because it was difficult to obtain, right? Either you do it through your time and dedication and skill, or through the money that you earned. And that was the difficulty of it, was part of the appeal. And then EVs came, and then suddenly the relationship between money and performance just collapsed. So think about this. A Toyota Corolla in the US costs roughly like $24,000. In many parts of the world, for about the same price, you can get an EV that has like 400 horsepower or more, and it accelerates to 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds. Okay? I think one of them is I think it's called a BYD Seal GT or something like that. It's like a hot hatch from China. And, you know, again, we're talking under 5 seconds, 400 horsepower, sports car territory, pretty firmly sports car territory. Even in, okay, let's put aside China. Look at North America. This trend is still there. Like, look at the Tesla 3 performance or Model Y performance, right? These aren't some kind of exotic sports cars. They're not, you know, some low-slung coupes or screaming V8s, right? They're just everyday cars. And yet they can outrun a lot of performance cars that enthusiasts spent decades dreaming about or building. It's a completely new dynamic. Okay, imagine explaining this to somebody in 2005. You tell them that in 20 years, a family crossover will humiliate a Camaro SS in a straight line. Not a Porsche or Ferrari or something. No, a family crossover, Model Y performance. They think you're insane, but here we are. And honestly, I think this created an identity crisis in car culture, because what exactly is the point of chasing performance anymore, right? I don't mean that sarcastically, I really mean it. For generations, enthusiasts chased power, right? They worshipped power. 300 horsepower was impressive. And then we got like 400, 500, 600, right? Every increase was special, and manufacturers went to war against each other over these numbers. Horsepower was probably the primary currency within car culture. Right? And this currency is destroyed, or let's say it was inflated by EVs, right? Now everybody can get instant torque, supercar level acceleration. It's like automotive communism, right? Everybody is finally equal. The currency still exists, but it just doesn't mean the same thing anymore. Right? And this is where things really start to become absurd. The other day, for example, I saw a review of the Zeekr, it was called Zeekr 009. Again, another Chinese EV. This one was a luxury electric minivan, okay? With 900 horsepower, 3 motors, and again, $70,000. Okay? For a minivan. Right? For decades we've chased legendary engines, right? Big block, small block, LS engines, V10s, V12s, all these engines were legendary for us because they represented performance that was difficult to obtain. But now, well, for these EVs, what do they do? Oh, just add more EV motors. Oh, you need more powers? Here's a EV motor. You want more torque? Here's another EV motor. It's not fast enough for you? Here, put a third one in. It's too easy. It's kind of ridiculous. As a car enthusiast, I almost find this offensive, right? And it's not that EVs are cheating, because they're not. Because EVs are just maximizing their, potential, right? If they can comfortably stick 4 motors into a car, why wouldn't they? Right? The problem is these rules invalidate a lot of the assumptions that enthusiasts have held for decades, right? The old hierarchy depended on scarcity, but EVs introduced more abundance. If everyone has supercar acceleration, well then supercar speeds are kind of no longer special, are they? Isn't that true? Now, somebody might say, oh, cars aren't just about acceleration. And yeah, that's right. It's not just about acceleration. Cars can be fun with 200 horsepower, like a Miata or a BRZ, right? Those are fun. I'm not denying that. But I hope that enthusiasts aren't keen on saying this now that we're in this EV era, so to speak. Almost as if trying to move the goalposts. Right, for decades we cared enormously about acceleration, but now that this acceleration is cheap, we're suddenly saying that, oh, it doesn't really matter anymore. Right? Cars really are more than just numbers, but I do think that enthusiasts are sometimes downplaying like how important performance used to be in defining automotive status. And they're doing that precisely because EVs have exposed an uncomfortable truth, right? A lot of what we've valued has become dramatically easier to attain, and when it becomes easier to attain, it just inevitably becomes less valuable, this is true for anything, not just cars. And don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that there's going to be a death of enthusiast cars, right? People still love watches despite smartphones existing, or like people still buy mechanical keyboards. They still listen to vinyl records, right? Passion survives technology. But then it also changes, which is the part that I kind of find unsettling. Because okay, let me tell you something. I recently saw a C8 Corvette ZR1X, okay? Spectacular machine, one of the most impressive cars I've ever seen. But even that car tells a story, because notice what it needs to become what it is. Hybridized, electrified, augmented. Even the kings of the old hierarchy are adapting to these new rules. What does that tell you about the future? I think currently we're living through a transition period, and the old hierarchy, it might not be completely dead, but it's definitely weakened, and nobody really knows what comes next. Maybe the future hierarchy will be based on software. Maybe battery technology, or, I don't know, autonomous capability, or charging speed, or AI integration. Which is kind of funny, because, battery technology, like that's what we're going to be focused on. Autonomous capability, like, doesn't that suck? As an enthusiast, isn't that ridiculous? That as an enthusiast, you're gonna be looking forward to, how far your car can drive, or what kind of autonomous capability it has. I mean, what is that? Like, are car enthusiasts gonna become like computer nerds or something? Right? It's completely not the same as the old enthusiasm. It's not the same thing as real-world mechanical experience, right? This is kind of where I have to be biased, because it's not the same. There's a lot of difference between working in the engine bay, or even something as simple as replacing your exhaust, versus, you download, you just press a few buttons, you download an update, and boom, you get 50 extra horsepower. Like, that's what car enthusiasm is going to become. If it is, then it's kind of sad, because then it's like, car culture would be ruined that way. I mean, you could say maybe, this is just like a different thing of value, right? Classic enthusiasm is like more challenging, more physical, whereas new car enthusiasm would be like Roblox. You just download an update and increase your stat, right? You pay for a little patch, and boom, you level up. I mean, maybe that's going to be valuable to this new generation of enthusiasts, right? Maybe just a perspective difference. I don't know. I suspect younger enthusiasts won't care nearly as much about exhaust sounds as, previous generations did, especially if they have EVs. They're probably going to be playing a different game. And that's probably what bothers me the most. Not that EVs are, so fast and gasoline cars are so slow, but it's more like maybe because the whole game is changing, right? This hierarchy that I grew up understanding is just kind of fading away, and the rules are being rewritten. And I guess that's inevitable because nothing stays the same, and every generation is attached to its, to the values that it grew up with. Right? But inevitably technology comes in, changes it, or ideology comes and changes it. So yeah, that's what I think is happening to car culture right now. It's evolving. It's evolving to something we don't understand yet, but one thing is certain, that the world where performance automatically equals status, it's kind of over. Supercars can give you status in other ways, but not in performance or speed. Because there is an EV that's much cheaper that can be probably faster. And whether that's exciting or depressing probably depends on which side of this transition you're standing on. Let me know what you think. See you next time. Sometimes I think maybe I should just get an EV, just like a Tesla Model 3 Performance, and just be done with it, Sometimes I think, what's the point of driving this Camaro if I could just get a Model 3 Performance and be done with it? Right? What's the point of trying to get a V8 Camaro if I can just get that Model 3 Performance and smoke it? I think the Model 3 Performance is like, what? 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60. It's f***ing fast, man. Why not? Just get it. I'll have like 4 doors. It's more comfortable for myself, for my kids, for my family. It's easy. I'll just have to find some public chargers. Why should I bother with this cylinders and displacement and all that stuff? It's all slower. I think I can get a Model 3 Performance, like the used one. I don't know, like 2022 model. I can probably get it for like 35 grand Canadian easily, in decent condition with decent mileage. I could do it. Why do I hang on to this car? This brand. Okay? And it doesn't have to be this brand. This could be a running horse here. It doesn't matter. Why do I hang on to it? Why do all you people hang on to it? It's over, isn't it? I don't know. I don't want to sound defeatist, but I kind of feel defeated sometimes. Or I kind of feel like, well, what the hell's the point anymore? If they're all just gonna come and what the hell is the point anymore if it's so easy, right? If it's so easy. 2 motors, all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, You know, you can drive that through the winter, you can drive that through the summer. It's a relatively sporty feel when you drive it. It has space, right? You got a family, you have some decent size. It's like a Honda Civic, right? It's a nice, you know, small family vehicle. It looks okay. It doesn't look spectacular, but it looks fine. And if you just have if you have a house, you could charge it every night. So there's no problem in terms of range or any of that stuff. You don't have to worry about that. If you have a reliable public charging solution, you got no problems. So why do we keep hanging on to these things? What, the sound, the exhaust, right? Is that what it is? Is that it? The vibration? I don't know. I'm not sure it's only that. I'm not sure it's just vibration and exhaust. Is it nostalgia? Is it just stubbornness or pride? Is it something to do with our identity? Right? Does this name, does it represent some form of identity to you that's like yours, right? Part of your identity. Is that what this is to you? Or whatever, you know, badge you might find on your car. Right? Maybe it's a BMW, maybe it's a Volkswagen,